In the quiet moments between the noise of daily life, have you ever felt a strange hollowness opening within you? That subtle sensation that something essential is missing, though you cannot quite name it? This feeling of emptiness visits us all at different times in our lives, sometimes arriving as a whisper, other times as a deafening silence that drowns out everything else. Perhaps you've encountered it while staring at your reflection, wondering who the person looking back truly is. Or maybe it emerged in the midst of achievement, when despite reaching your goals, a void remained unfilled. This emptiness, this disconnection from our deeper selves, has become increasingly common in our modern world where external validation and constant distraction pull us away from our inner knowing. The Buddha spoke of this emptiness as both a source of suffering and, paradoxically, a doorway to profound liberation. In Buddhist teachings, there are two forms of emptiness we experience. The first is the painful emptiness of disconnection, the feeling that something vital is missing from our lives, that we are somehow incomplete or hollow at our core. This suffering arises when we lose touch with our authentic nature and become entangled in the web of societal expectations, past regrets, and future anxieties. The second understanding of emptiness, sunyata in Sanskrit, refers to the liberating wisdom that recognizes that nothing exists in isolation, that all things are interconnected and in constant flux. As Jack Kornfield explains, in Buddhist teaching, emptiness refers to a basic openness and non-separation that we experience when all small and fixed notions of ourself are seen through or dissolved. Jack Kornfield. When we speak of feeling empty in modern life, we often mean the first kind of emptiness, a sense of inner void, of meaninglessness, of being cut off from our true nature. This emptiness manifests as restlessness, chronic dissatisfaction, emotional numbness, or a persistent feeling that something essential is missing despite external achievements or relationships. In our hyperconnected yet deeply disconnected world, we become strangers to ourselves, constantly seeking validation from outside rather than nurturing the relationship with our own hearts and minds. As we scroll through carefully curated images of others' lives, the gap between our authentic experience and what we believe life should be grows wider, deepening our sense of emptiness. The painful irony is that we often try to fill this void with the very things that created it: more distractions, more achievements, more material possessions, more superficial connections. We fear sitting with the emptiness, believing it will consume us if we turn toward it. Yet Buddhist wisdom offers us a different approach. It invites us to move toward our emptiness with gentle curiosity and compassion, to explore it as a teacher rather than flee from it as an enemy. As the Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, the feeling that something is lacking in myself and in my life is the very feeling that I have made many other people feel. Plum Village. Our disconnection from ourselves ripples outward, affecting all our relationships and interactions with the world. The path back to ourselves begins with stopping, pausing the endless doing, achieving, and acquiring to simply be with ourselves as we are. In the Buddhist tradition, this is the practice of mindfulness, of bringing kind awareness to our present moment experience without judgment or the need to change anything. When we create this space of acceptance, we begin to see that our emptiness is not a deficit or failure but a natural response to having lost connection with our deeper nature. It is, in its own way, a call to come home to ourselves. This journey back to wholeness is not about adding something new but rather about remembering what has been there all along beneath the noise and conditioning. As the Buddha is said to have expressed, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This self-reconnection is not selfish, it is the foundation for genuine connection with others and with life itself. When we are in touch with our own hearts, we can truly meet others from a place of fullness rather than need. The Buddhist path offers profound reminders that can guide us back to ourselves when we feel lost in emptiness. These are not merely intellectual concepts but lived practices that transform our relationship with ourselves and with the experience of emptiness itself. They invite us to see that the void we feel is not a permanent state but a temporary experience arising from disconnection, and that the path back to wholeness is always available to us in the present moment. Through these reminders, we learn to hold our emptiness with tenderness rather than fear, discovering that within its apparent darkness lie the seeds of our own awakening. As we explore these 5 Buddhist reminders together, I invite you to receive them not as abstract philosophy but as intimate companions on your journey home to yourself. They have guided countless beings through their own experiences of emptiness toward a deeper understanding of what it means to be fully human. The path they illuminate is not about escaping our human vulnerability but about embracing it with wisdom and compassion, discovering that our wounds can become portals to greater wholeness when held in the light of awareness. The journey back to ourselves is perhaps the most important pilgrimage we will ever make, for it is only in reconnecting with our true nature that we discover the fullness that has been there all along, waiting patiently beneath the surface of our perceived emptiness. The first reminder begins with a simple truth that is often overlooked in our quest to fix or improve ourselves. You are already whole, already complete, exactly as you are in this moment. This does not mean that there is no room for growth or healing, but rather that these processes unfold from the ground of your inherent wholeness, not from a place of fundamental deficiency. The Buddhist concept of Buddha nature points to this intrinsic completeness that exists within each being, regardless of their current circumstances or state of mind. It is like the vast blue sky that remains unchanged even when clouds temporarily obscure it from view. Your feelings of emptiness are merely passing clouds. They may obscure your wholeness for a time, but they can never diminish it. When we feel empty, we often believe something is fundamentally wrong with us, that we are broken in some irreparable way. This belief leads us to seek completion through external sources, relationships, achievements, possessions that can never fill the void created by our own self-alienation. The first reminder invites us to question this core assumption, to consider that perhaps our emptiness is not a sign of our brokenness but a messenger pointing us toward a forgotten truth. We have become disconnected from the wholeness that is our birthright. As one practitioner described their experience after deep meditation, I realized that what I had been seeking was already here. The emptiness I felt wasn't about something missing, it was the space needed to rediscover what had been there all along. Spirit rock. The practice of reconnecting with your inherent wholeness begins with the simple act of coming home to your body, the most immediate expression of your being. In a world that encourages disembodiment through constant mental stimulation and digital distraction, the revolutionary act of feeling your own breath, sensing your feet on the ground, or noticing the sensations in your hands can initiate a profound homecoming. Thich Nhat Hanh offered this beautiful practice, breathing in, I know I have a body. Hello body, I am home. I'll take care of you. Reddit. This gentle acknowledgement is the beginning of reconciliation with the physical dimension of your being, the first step in remembering your wholeness. As you continue this exploration, the second reminder emerges naturally: emptiness itself is not your enemy but a teacher bearing gifts of wisdom if you are willing to listen. In the Buddhist tradition, all experiences, including the most painful and challenging, are viewed as potential doorways to greater awareness and compassion. Your emptiness, rather than being a problem to eliminate, might be inviting you to examine the beliefs and patterns that have led to your disconnection from yourself. It might be asking you to consider what truly matters in your life, what gives it meaning beyond the superficial markers of success and belonging that society promotes. This shift in perspective, from seeing emptiness as a failure to recognizing it as a messenger, changes your relationship with the experience itself. Instead of struggling against it or trying to fill it immediately, you can sit with it in curious attention, asking, what is this emptiness trying to show me? What have I been avoiding by keeping myself constantly busy or distracted? What deeper longing lies beneath this feeling of void? As Jack Kornfield notes, the last aspect of mindful healing is awareness of the universal laws that govern life. Central to it is an understanding of emptiness, the open space in which all of life unfolds. Jack Kornfield. By creating this space of inquiry rather than immediate resolution, you allow the wisdom inherent in your experience to reveal itself. The third reminder speaks to one of the most transformative practices in Buddhist psychology: self-compassion. When we feel empty, our inner critic often takes this opportunity to attack us with renewed vigor, pointing out all the ways we have failed to create a meaningful life or become the person we should be. This harsh self-judgment only deepens our sense of disconnection and unworthiness. The practice of self-compassion interrupts this cycle by offering kindness precisely when we feel least deserving of it. As the Buddha taught, compassion for oneself is not a luxury but a necessity on the spiritual path. It is the foundation that makes compassion for others possible and sustainable. Self-compassion involves three elements: mindfulness of your suffering, acknowledging your emptiness without exaggeration or minimization, common humanity, recognizing that emptiness and disconnection are universal human experiences rather than signs of personal failure, and kindness, offering yourself the same care and understanding you would offer a beloved friend facing similar struggles. Research in modern psychology confirms what Buddhist practitioners have known for centuries: self-compassion is associated with greater emotional resilience, reduced anxiety and depression, and increased well-being. Scientific American. To practice self-compassion when feeling empty, you might place a hand on your heart and speak to yourself with tenderness. This is a moment of suffering. Emptiness is part of the human experience. May I be kind to myself in this difficult time. This simple gesture acknowledges your pain while reminding you of your connection to all beings who have experienced similar feelings throughout time. It creates a sense of being held in your emptiness rather than abandoned to it, which paradoxically begins to transform the experience itself. As one practitioner shared, when I finally stopped fighting my emptiness and started treating it and myself with gentleness, something shifted. The emptiness didn't immediately disappear, but it no longer felt like an abyss threatening to swallow me. It became a space I could rest in without fear. Tiny Buddha. The fourth reminder draws our attention to a fundamental truth of existence that the Buddha emphasized throughout his teachings: impermanence, anicca. Every experience, including your current feeling of emptiness, is temporary and subject to change. When we're in the depths of disconnection, it can seem as though this state will last forever. Our minds tend to project the present moment indefinitely into the future, creating a sense of hopelessness. The reminder of impermanence helps us recognize that emptiness, like all conditions, arises due to specific causes and will transform as those causes change. This understanding doesn't invalidate your current experience but places it within the larger context of life's constant flux. The 5 remembrances practiced in the Plum Village tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh include profound reflections on impermanence that, rather than inducing fear or nihilism, awaken us to the preciousness of each moment and our deep interconnection with all life. The remembrances remind us: I am of the nature to grow old, to have ill health, to die, to be separated from all that is dear to me. My actions are my only true belongings. Plum Village. Far from being morbid, these contemplations liberate us from the illusion of permanence that underlies much of our suffering and disconnection. When feeling empty, you might practice with impermanence by gently noting, "This too shall pass." This emptiness is not who I am but a changing experience moving through me. You might recall previous times when you felt similarly disconnected and remember that those episodes eventually shifted, making way for different experiences. This perspective doesn't deny your present reality but helps prevent identification with it as a fixed or defining aspect of yourself. As one practitioner noted, understanding impermanence gave me permission to be fully with my emptiness without fearing it would define me forever. This acceptance paradoxically created space for transformation to begin. Lion's roar. The 5th reminder brings us to what might be considered the heart of Buddhist practice: present moment awareness as the gateway to reconnection. The Buddha taught that our suffering largely stems from living in the regretted past or the anxious future rather than the only moment where life actually occurs, the now. Emptiness often flourishes in the gaps created when our attention is constantly pulled away from the present, whether through rumination about past failures, worry about future outcomes, or distraction through technology and busyness. The practice of returning to the present moment, again and again, is a powerful antidote to the disconnection that underlies our sense of emptiness. This return doesn't require elaborate techniques. It can be as simple as feeling the sensation of your breath, noticing the points of contact between your body and the chair, or bringing full attention to the sounds in your environment. Thich Nhat Hanh offered the gentle reminder: breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. This practice isn't about forcing your emptiness to disappear but about expanding your awareness to include the fullness that exists alongside it in the present moment, the aliveness of your senses, the miracle of your breathing body, the spaciousness of awareness itself. As you practice with these 5 reminders, your inherent wholeness, emptiness as teacher, self-compassion, impermanence, and present moment awareness, you may discover that the very emptiness that once seemed like an enemy is gradually revealed as a doorway to a deeper, more authentic connection with yourself. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, it unfolds gradually through consistent practice and gentle perseverance. There will be days when reconnection feels effortless and days when the void seems vaster than ever. Both are part of the path. The journey of reconnection is not about reaching a permanent state of wholeness where emptiness never visits again. Such an expectation would only create another form of suffering. Instead, it's about developing a new relationship with all your experiences, including emptiness, one characterized by mindful awareness, compassion, and the recognition of their impermanent nature. With practice, you may find that even in moments of disconnection, a part of you remembers the way home and can hold the experience with greater ease and understanding. As Jack Kornfield beautifully expresses, the healing comes through using the difficulties, the emptiness, and even the pain we encounter as a way to see more deeply into life itself. Jack Kornfield. Your emptiness, held in the light of these Buddhist reminders, can become not an obstacle to your well-being but a catalyst for awakening to the fullness that has been within you all along, waiting patiently to be rediscovered. The path back to yourself is always open, illuminated by the wisdom and compassion that are your birthright. Each moment offers a new beginning, a fresh opportunity to remember who you truly are beyond the stories of lack and disconnection that the mind so convincingly tells. There is a story from the Buddhist tradition about a poor man who lives his entire life in poverty, unaware that a priceless jewel has been sewn into the hem of his coat by a caring friend. Like this man, we often search outside ourselves for what has been within us all along, our inherent capacity for awareness, compassion, and connection. The jewel of our true nature never leaves us, even when obscured by the clouds of emptiness or disconnection. The 5 reminders we've explored are like fingers pointing to this forgotten treasure, guiding us back to the wholeness that is our natural state. When emptiness visits you again, as it inevitably will in this human journey, perhaps you might greet it differently, not as a fearsome adversary but as an old acquaintance bearing important news about your life and what it needs right now. Perhaps you might sit with it in kind awareness, neither pushing it away nor becoming lost in its story, but simply allowing it to be present as you would with any other passing visitor to the guest house of your consciousness. In this space of acceptance, emptiness itself can become a portal to greater authenticity, compassion, and wisdom. The Buddhist path reminds us that healing is not about adding something we lack but about removing the obstacles to recognizing what has been whole within us from the beginning. As you continue this journey of reconnection, may you discover that emptiness, rather than being the absence of something essential, can be the spaciousness that allows your true nature to unfold in its own time and way. May you find, in the words of poet Rumi, that your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. And may each moment of reconnection with yourself inspire greater compassion for all beings who share this human experience of occasionally feeling lost and disconnected from their deepest truth. The path is not always easy, but you do not walk it alone. Countless beings have traversed this territory before you, leaving behind breadcrumbs of wisdom in the form of these timeless reminders. Your emptiness, honored as a teacher rather than rejected as a flaw, can lead you to discoveries more precious than any you might have found had you never experienced disconnection at all. In the end, perhaps this is emptiness's greatest gift, guiding us home to ourselves through the very experience of feeling lost, revealing the wholeness that has been waiting patiently for our return all along.